Hey, we're wires from Greensboro and North Carolina.
Here we are in the shop. We're going to start applying the 3M Pro Clear Bra product today. I've done a couple of other bikes, VTX and my previous GTL, but those were both with the regular Clear Bra product. Today we're going to try the Pro. I picked this kit up off of eBay for $180. It contains a few more pieces than the last one I got did. So we're going to have a little bit more body coverage of the paint. Stay tuned here. We're going to do a product opening, take inventory of exactly what's included in the package. And then we'll get started. I'll give you some tips for applying the product right onto your paint. All right, so here we are at the bench. Let's open up this package and see what's included inside. Shipped in the triangle box here. I'm assuming it's going to come in some type of a roll, but we'll see. It was shipped priority mail. It showed up in about 4 days from the time I ordered it. I said it was purchased on eBay. My shipper was from California, Buena Park, California. So here we go. Out of the package. Make sure we got everything. I think we did. Oh, nope, got a squeegee in there. Awesome. So we'll throw the box aside and take a look at what we've got. Scotchguard Paint Protection Film Pro Series, owner care guide and warranty information. Tells you kind of what to do, how to care for it. Comes with their trifold product brochure. Tell you about how tough it is, that it doesn't stain, all the things that it will stand up to. Apparently a couple decals are included in there as well, along with the squeegee. And some areas that I guess you can protect if you're putting this on an automobile, which we're not. We're putting it on the bike, so it doesn't really apply here, but nice literature that they include. All rubber banded up in a roll. Looks pretty nice. See what the sheets say. Clear Bra installation instructions. It says, note, Scotchguard Pro Series film features innovative self-healing top coat. Any light scratches or nicks in the film will simply disappear when the film is put in the sun. This durable yet flexible film makes installation a breeze. Because this new film has a brand new high-tech adhesive, make sure you saturate underneath the film where the adhesive is. It is highly recommended to have a professional Clear Bra installer install this kit. And then it talks about materials needed. Water bottle with spray nozzle. We've got that here. This is a bottle I use for all my different ones. It's just an old Fantastic bottle that I've rinsed out really well. It's a soap water. They talk about water bottle with spray nozzle. What I actually do is I use 80% water, 20% isopropyl alcohol, and just a couple drops of dishwashing detergent. Is how I found that I get the best results. I got this as a tip from a professional installer, and it's worked really great for me. Rubber squeegee, I have one of my own, but they also include one here in the kit. We'll open that up. And then 5 to 6 drops of liquid soap. They said they recommend baby shampoo. So they actually do have you using the soap as well. And their squeegee is just essentially a square piece of rubber there. And what it tells us is start by making sure there are no wax or sealants on your vehicle. Waxes will cause adhesive on the film to fail. I just did a cleaning on the bike with invisible glass. If you guys aren't using invisible glass to clean all of your windows and plastic products, really recommend it. Goes on easy, streak free on the wipe off. Great stuff. So I've just gone over my entire bike with this and make sure it was clean. There shouldn't be any wax on it. I haven't waxed the bike yet. It's brand new. Fill your water bottle with distilled water and add 3 to 4 drops of liquid soap. We recommend using baby shampoo, but if not, any liquid soap will suffice. Shake the bottle well, making sure the soap mixes with the water. Carefully remove the clear bra film from backing, one piece at a time with wet hands. Spray both adhesive and non-adhesive side of the film with the soap solution. You do this so that the back is lubricated and you squeegee the water out as you go, but you also want the surface to be wet and lubricated so the squeegee glides easily over it. If you don't wet and lubricate even the dry side, this is going to bind and cause kind of some scuffing or marring at the worst, and kind of at the very least, it's going to kind of make it hard to push it around. Spray soap solution onto the area you are placing your film. Gently lay down the film on the car and check for debris that might be trapped under the film. Once the film is laid down, position it properly and spray the top of the film with your soap solution. Take your rubber squeegee, slowly go over the top of the film to squeeze out the water from the bottom. And to avoid light scratches on top of the film, spray the soap solution on the film to lubricate the squeegee process. That's what I was just talking about. Number 8, gradually work your way around the film to make sure that the water underneath has been pressed out with your squeegee. And number 9, check that all the water has been squeezed out from under the film. If you notice any debris or large bubbles under the film that cannot be squeezed out, carefully lift the film back up and repeat the application process. Do not wash your vehicle for 24 hours after you install the Clear Bra film. And after the film has cured for 24 hours, you may wash and wax your vehicle regularly. Use a synthetic wax with no dyes or artificial colors to avoid staining of the film. So don't use waxes that have dyes built in. Those were popular a while back. I haven't seen anybody use them in a while, but apparently those will stain the film. I'm not going to go through and read the rest of this stuff. There's one more page of kind of quick tips, and then a cut sheet. So when you roll out the film, this is how it's going to be cut. So we've got pieces for the pannier tops, the belly pan, the inner pannier cover, the pannier itself, the right and left side of the tank, the top side of the fairing on both sides, the top of the fairing there, a headlight cover, a tank pad. I'm not sure if I'll use the tank pad on the Exclusive since it's got the aluminum piece in there, but we'll take a look at it. And then all the same parts for the right hand side. So you're going to get really, really complete paint coverage with this particular kit. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this out, and I think what I'm going to do is actually cut my film into sections as I can to make them a little bit easier to handle, so I'm not dealing with a big, whatever it is, 10 or 12 foot long roll as I go. That way I can just deal with the application pieces that I want to work on at the time. So I'm going to cut here, we'll go to the bike, and we'll get started. All right, we are going to start here on the left side pannier, and I just peeled the protectant off of the sheet, and I'm going to go ahead and soak this bad boy down. I'm going to get it nice and wet on all the sides, front and back, and I'm going to spray down the top of the case. And this one actually might be a little bit tricky because of how thin the case is right there above the handle. And it is obvious which way it goes on due to, I'm trying to keep this from spinning and sticking to itself, the hole that's cut, which corresponds to going around the keyhole. So I'm just going to, for starters, get it laid out, and I do have a little twist in it. So I'm going to untwist that to get the adhesive side facing down, and there we go. Okay, and you can see with how wet it is, this floats very easily above the surface. So you have some time here to make sure everything gets lined up just right, particularly around that hole, right? We're going to use that kind of as our anchor point, because if that hole's not lined up and centered, it's going to look really wrong. That's going to be very visible. So we're going to get that all close, and I'm going to hit the surface with the soapy water again, and I'm going to get my squeegee. And we are just going to start at the hole get that centered and start working out from there. And we're going to push very lightly all of the excess soap, water, alcohol solution out from underneath the film. And you don't want to go too fast. You're going to have a lot of excess under there initially, and it's going to really want to float and move around. So you go very gently at first so you can slow down the floating, right? You want to have just a little bit of grip. And you can see now that I've got a lot of the water on, I can still move it a very little bit, all right? But it's much more resistant to moving. So I'm going to get that down. I need to pull that back just a little bit on this side. All right. We're going to push this all out. And it's kind of hard to see, I know, from that camera angle. All right, we'll push some of that solution in, right, towards the hole. All right. It's hard to see, but it does actually wrap around. There's a tiny little painted edge on the front of the bag of the pannier that is covered by this kit. So I'm going to run my squeegee right along there, and this is gliding really nice and easy. Right, and it goes kind of right on there. We need to get it all out. And what I'm going to do, once I get it pretty close, right, you want to occasionally wipe off your squeegee and then come over the top, because as you squeeze out that solution, it's going to become a little bit harder to tell what solution is underneath the film and what is on top. Right? So occasionally you come in here and just dab it off. And that's actually looking really good. Make sure we're nice and tight around the keyhole. Again, that's another thin spot, so if you don't have good adhesion there, later on it may come up and cause a problem for you, but I think it's looking pretty good. So I'm just going to come in here and blot that water out. It looks pretty good. Okay. Now I'm going to start working towards the back using that same methodology. And one of the things I noticed right away is that there's a little bit of stretch in this material, and it's a little bit shorter than I really want it to be. So I'm going to have to actually put a little bit of tension on it as I squeegee the water out. Otherwise, I'm not going to get good coverage on the back. So this little skinny piece that goes right over the handle, okay, I'm going to squeegee as I pull, try to get some of that water out of there. Come back in with the rag. It's a little bit too wet for me right now. Okay. Then I'm going to come and I'm just going to continue front to back, squeegeeing the water out, trying to make sure that this back section has got good coverage. Right. And as you get the material out, you'll notice that it starts to stick better and better. It doesn't slide around quite as much. There we go. I've got a little bit of a fold there, but the squeegee works that right out, a little air bubble. Okay, try to get the big air bubbles out. If there are tiny little pinhead size air bubbles, don't worry so much about those. Over the next few days, as the water dries, it will work out those tiny, tiny little air bubbles. So you don't need to worry about all of those. That's it. I'm coming back in here now, wiping off all that extra solution. And this little piece here above this handle is just, I mean, it must be only 1 to 2 centimeters or a half inch or so wide. So it's very hard to get it lined up very precisely. So you might have to spend some time and mess around with that. Okay. But I've got it all on now. I don't see any air bubbles. Okay. I've got a little spot over here, but I don't see a speck. It may just be a loose area of the film, or it's actually a blemish in the paint, because I do not see a speck. Specks, you can, if there's a speck of dust or dirt underneath the film, you can feel it with your finger as a bump. This doesn't have that feeling, but I can see that the material is not adhering like it is everywhere else. So sometimes you can work those out with a little rag by putting light pressure and pushing. And I think that's actually working here. So I'll come back and look at that in a little bit. But I think that first piece is now on successfully. I will go back to the master sheet and find the other piece that goes onto this left side pannier. All right, here we are on the second piece for the left pannier. I've peeled the film off the sheet and already soaked it and the bag itself with the soap water alcohol solution, and I'm just working to get it positioned correctly. One of the things I can tell you is on my other bike, on my other GTL, this has really been the most critical pieces here, the ones on top of the panniers. Because as you put your foot on and off over the bike over and over, it's inevitable that eventually you get a little foot drag and you scuff the top of your bag. I've got a friend who didn't do this, and he's got lines all over the top of his. It really doesn't look very good. So this is really an important part to get on and get right. I'm going to spray down the top of this little more to give myself a little bit more lubrication. This does have a compound curve right here in the front area, and I don't know if you can see it in the film or not, but there's a couple kind of creases that naturally want to go into there. We should be able to work those out pretty easily though. And once I've got it pretty centered, I'm going to start in the middle this time because I don't really have a critical narrow section like I did on the last piece. I'm going to work out from the middle and start squeegeeing some of this water out. Middle out to the edges. Real light pressure. Right? You don't need a lot. Works out really nice and easy. You can see how kind of fast it goes. Just take your time. Make sure you give the coverage you want. You might have to stretch, pull, and push in a little bit of directions. Once you get all that water out, it will stick where you leave it. Right? So don't worry about that. Okay. So here we go. Really nicely. And you can see here at the front where those compound curves are that I talked about. Those little creases are coming out. And we're looking really good. Now there's one coming back, so you just got to come in here and stay on it. The more of the liquid you get out from underneath there, the better those spots will stick. You can see as I push it, right, you can see it come out, and you get a little kind of a bead of water coming out from the edge of those of the film. Just keep working that. Middle to the edge. Middle to the edge. It's looking real good. Really nice. All right, so I'm going to come back in here now and bring my rag back in and start to take off some of that extra fluid. Realize that when you're done with this, even after you wipe it off, you might have a little bit of haze left because of the soap that's in the solution that you've got. Just let it sit for a day, come back after it's sat for 24 hours and use your invisible glass or your Plexus or your Honda polish or your lemon pledge or whatever you use to polish your bike, and it'll take that haze right out. So don't sweat that. So there you go. Piece number 2 looks really good. All right, you got to make sure that paint is clean underneath before you start, but if you have a clean piece of paint, when you begin, this goes on really nice and easy. So that's looking great. Piece number 2 complete. All right, here is the third piece of the pannier cover, and it goes along the side edge. We've got the 2 top pieces done, and now we've got to do the side edge. And it's kind of got a little bit of a goofy shape on it, and it does wrap around on the front. All right, so that's kind of your key space. If you start in the back, you may not end up just right in the front. So come in here, and I'm actually sticking a little bit in the back, so I'm going to come in here and spray a little bit more fluid, both on the film and on the case. All right, so I get a good float. And I'm going to line up the top crease, or the top curve rather. Okay. And the front line here, I want it all to line up, and along this nice curve radius there, you want to have a nice even seam. So I'm going to hold that in place, take my squeegee, and start working out the fluid from underneath at that location first. And that's going to be our key location. Remember, go lightly first, just to get some of the fluid out, start to see how it looks. I'm going to have a compound curve here again, so I'm going to start to get these things that want to crease on me, which is okay. All right, we can work those out as we go. As we get drier and drier, those will stick. All right, but you got to kind of get those out. And then you want to watch your line here along the chrome trim. I'm going to kind of position with my left hand, squeegee with my right. Squeegee in with the right as I hold with my left. And now I'm going to start to work back, front to back, because my squeegee is almost the exact width of this piece of film. Right? So I can squeegee and stretch kind of at the same time. I'm not quite getting the back coverage I want, so I'm going to stretch it with my left hand as I squeegee. There is some give in this film. All right, so you can push it around to get it right where you want it. So don't be afraid to stretch it just a little bit. Don't pull too hard, right? But you can move it around. And another way, if you just need to stretch it a little bit, squeegee it in the direction that you want it to stretch, and it will move that way. Something going on here under this little corner. I'm not sure what. I'm just going to check it, make sure there's no debris under there. It doesn't seem to be. So we'll spray it again. All right, this stuff can be removed and reapplied. Just put some more fluid behind it. There we go. Whatever was there is working its way out now. Not sure what that was. May have just been some little air bubbles. All right, so there we go. That's looking really good. And we'll come back around and work on these creases. All right, so as we go, I'm just going to go nice and slow. Work some of this water out. All right, I'm going to come in here, get rid of some of the water. Okay. Because remember, if that water leaks or seeps back down underneath the film, it's going to release again. The reason we squeegee is to get it out of there. So I'm just going to work it and work it and work it, and I'm pulling it back towards the seam, the shortest direction for that water to get out of the film. Okay, and I've worked some out. I'm going to come back in here, dry it off, push the bottom of this down around the curve. Got a little bit of a bubble there I can work out easy. There it goes. Okay, work it down, and the bottom of this film, they did a really nice job cutting it. Lines up perfectly with the bottom edge of the door of the pannier. Looks really, it's going to be really nice. Right? But getting short pieces to stick can be tricky because there's not a lot of adhesion there. Right? So use that rag, absorb that solution out of there, right, so it sticks, and then you can come back and work it if you need to. This is looking really great. Got a little bit of a bubble right there at the edge. There we go. I just kind of stretch that out. Come back in with the towel. All right. I can put some pressure on there with my fingers. Push and squeeze that solution out and push the film down. Right? And then I can wipe it all off. All right. And there we go. One pannier is done. I'm not going to show you the other one because it goes on the exact same way. The next cut you see here, we'll move on to some of the body panels. All right, so we're moving on now to the main part of the bike, and we're going to start here on the front fairing. And as I was unrolling the spool of film, some of these pieces, it's not always obvious where they go. So if that's the case and you're not sure, take a good pair of scissors, cut about 1/8 of an inch outside of the film part, right? And now I can place this on the bike and try to figure out exactly where they go. And this particular piece is going to end up going above the mirror, right here on the paint and bodywork. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started and do that piece next. All right, I've already soaped that up and on the bike, and I'm going to spray down the piece of film, again both sides. And this is largely a rinse and repeat type scenario here. Put that down, and I'm going to come back and place the film loosely on the bike. Slides right into place. What a great fit. The manufacturers of this kit, at least so far, have done a tremendous job of just getting edge-to-edge coverage on this stuff. You notice I let go of the film there, and it did sag down, right? With a lot of soap and water down there, gravity will do its work. So you got to kind of hold it in place. And I'm going to start at the front because this is the part you're going to see the most. All right, I'm going to hold it where I want it, and again, lightly start to squeegee some of that solution out of there. Try to get the tip of that film right at that corner. I'm going to run the squeegee that way to try to stretch it that way just a bit. Come in here. All right, now I'm going to again work inside out, middle out. Try to line up those body lines right where they should be. The back is sagging a little bit, so I'm just going to come in here and lift it up. I do need to mention that one of the things I did have to do is turn the bike on and lift this windshield up all the way out of the way. You could also just come in here and remove the 4 Torx heads screws and remove the windshield completely if you preferred. Might give you a tad bit more room, but there's really not much to this piece. I don't think it's really that necessary. So I think I'm pretty good here with the squeegee. Put that down. I'm going to come back in with the rag now and wipe that solution out from the edges, dry it off. Make sure you get it good underneath this mirror. It does tuck back down in there underneath the mirror. And there you go. Next piece we'll do is we'll come down here and do the lower fairing. All right, here we go. Spray that all down. One of the things I haven't really talked about is as you peel this film off of the backing sheet, you want to get the solution onto it as soon as you can, preferably every couple inches as you peel it off the backing sheet. If this stuff stays dry and the adhesive touches each other on the back, it can be very difficult to get that back apart. And you'll end up with kind of a little marred area on the film itself. So as soon as you can, get the solution on. All right, so this piece is a little bit oversized, and it looks like it wraps the bottom of this top fairing section. So I'm going to again start here with the point, start lightly squeegeeing out some of the solution that's underneath there. Okay. Try to get those lines just right, but make sure they don't overhang the edge, otherwise they will start to peel. Okay. Make sure you stay on the paint. Anything that's hanging over the edge of the paint eventually will catch dirt, water will get under it, and wind, and it will start to peel off with time. So make sure that it stays inside the edge of the paint. All right, so I've got that on there, and I'm going to start to work back, watching the edge and the paint line as it comes around the headlight here. All right, I got a big bubble here in the middle. I'm going to just push that out so I don't have to deal with that. And this is looking really great. Really, really nice. I think I have to do a little bit of a lift. I'm going to pull this off and respray underneath here. So I do need to get this a little bit higher, I think, for it to look just right. Respray, lay it back on. You don't have to be super gentle with this stuff as you go, guys. It will, it's pretty forgiving as long as you keep it wet. All right, so I'm stretching it good to get it nice and tight up underneath this mirror mount. All right, and as I squeegee out the solution, it sticks. And I'm pulling back towards the body line back here to try to stretch it in this direction, get a nice tight fit to those seams. What a great cut they've got on this stuff. All right, this is really, really easy to work with. All right, so we're good. I don't see any bubbles. There's a little bit of an interior compound curve up here right underneath the mirror, but it laid in there very, very nicely. All right, so I'm just working it out. Middle to the outside, pushing all the bubbles, all the solution. I had a little bit of a bubble there right along the headlight edge, but that pushed right out with the squeegee. All right, now I've got to wrap this along the bottom. And again, I'm going to come to about the middle. I'm going to push it under with my thumb and work from the center out. And I'm going to kind of push in and down at the same time with the squeegee, trying to keep that nice radius curve and get the water out. Okay, do a nice wrap. It's really nice that they give you these wraps. They could very easily just stop this film above this body line right here, and it would probably be fine, but this gives you that nice extra protection. It keeps a big rock or something from catching the edge and starting a peel on you. All right, so just working that in. All right, bring my thumb. Feel like I'm a little bit too wet underneath there. So again, I'm going to come back in with my microfiber cloth and just get that out. Right. Looking really great. I'm just working this little back corner here where it's getting loose. I'm kind of pushing it. I'm doing a little stretch and putting a little bit of pressure on there too to try to wring out any little last bit of water that might be underneath the film. One of the things as you're pulling this off the film, off the backing sheet, you really want to make sure also that you don't actually get a crease in it. If this creases, you will see it in the final product. So keep that roll nice and curved and it'll go on really nice for you. You won't have any extra kind of lines or dull finish areas in the final job. So there we go. That's that section there. Actually, I've got a little bit of a bubble right there, don't I? Right in here. I'm going to put a little more solution on here, see if I can squeegee it out. If I can't, I'm going to have to peel it up and go again. So let's see how this goes. All right. Always have the surface be wet when you're working the squeegee over it. Let it glide. All right, not quite getting it. So I'm going to pull this edge up. All right, peel this back. And it's already starting to adhere really, really well. You can see I had some wet area in there, which is what my issue was. Re-wet the film. Okay. And come back again. You will get a little bit of that alcohol smell. You should. Right? Obviously you're about 20% alcohol, so don't sweat that. It's not going to hurt your paint or hurt the bike. Right? You're getting rid of it all pretty quickly in the squeegeeing process. All right. There we go. I think I got rid of that bubble. We'll wipe her down again. Yeah, much, much better. Looking good. Come back under here because I did pull this back. Make sure that's all good underneath. And there you go, right side of the fairing, done. All right, now we're coming in here to the front fender. We've got a small cover piece that just covers the tip of the fender, so we're gonna come right in here. I'm not sure why they didn't make this one bigger. I wonder if it's because of these two body lines here. I'm not really sure. If they decided they couldn't cover that well, we're going to come down. This actually doesn't even go right to the edge. So this piece I'm a little bit less happy with. It would have been really nice if it was covering this whole edge, because I think on my older GTL that was in the accident, I think I did have a rock chip or two right on that lip. But other than that, this will go on easy. Again, I'm going to come right in the middle, work to the outside. I'm just starting to hit those body lines there, so shift it around, keep it inside the main body line, stretch it if you need to. Coming with the towel. Got a little bit too much there. And you can just rub this in. Wow, was that easy, right? Pretty invisible, which is the whole idea, right? And even if they couldn't do a whole section, it might be nice to have 3 pieces that could lay inside these body lines, but that's all right. Definitely better than nothing. All right. So I'm not sure how that comes through in the camera, but from my perspective, you can't even tell that it's on there. All right, here we go on the lower fairing. I just sprayed that down and lightly put that in place. Let's get some spray on that. I'm right in the direct sunlight now, trying to get better lighting for filming. So the water is evaporating pretty quickly. So I may need to come back and spray periodically just to keep it lubricated. But again, body lines, guys, all about the body lines. Getting it all lined up right where you want it. All right. This does have some pre-cuts in it. It's got a little split cut right up here at the tip to go on that body line. So getting that just in the right place is going to be your critical starting point. If you try to do that at the end, it's probably going to be next to impossible to do. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to come in here. All right, staying above. There's a body line that runs right over the logo here. The bottom of that decal looks like it needs to be just above that. So again, so we get the nice wrap of protection around the top. Man, this is drying fast in the direct sunlight. All right, so I'm going to peel this back off because I still don't have that body line exactly right. There we go. That's looking better. That's looking better, right? So I got a nice little even reveal up here. And I'm just going to kind of get that down with my fingers, and that'll kind of vertically keep it in place. Checking the body line, looks good. Come back, give me some lubrication, and I'm going to work kind of from the middle forward and down, and then from the middle back. Very lightly, watching for bubbles. These bigger pieces are a little bit trickier because if you get it jacked up here, it'll affect everything in the rear. Got a little bubble there. Get that out. All right, get this tip on real well. This is one of those places that if you don't get good adhesion, it will come back and haunt you later. Okay. This bottom section is drooping on me, so I got to do a little bit of pulling on that. There is a relief cut here in the front to get it around that corner, which is kind of nice. All right, right at that apex, that notch is lining up really well. Okay, so I'm just going to come back in here, guide this all in. It does have a little bit of front wrap as well. Okay, so it's going to wrap around this front edge between the fairing and the front turn signal. We're going to get a little bit of wrap. Okay, it's really nice to have that wrap, guys, with anything that faces forward, because it will help keep stuff from getting underneath the film. I know we talked about that in an earlier segment. I just want to reiterate that. That is a really nice feature of the way this particular film is cut. The last ones that I had and I put on my 13 GTL did not have all this wrap, and it did come up in a couple places. All right, so you can see how I'm just using my fingers. All right, my squeegee doesn't quite fit up in there. So I'm just using my fingers, using the towel, all right, to wipe, get all those air bubbles up and out. Make sure that you don't get the towel on the sticky part of the film. All right, I've got a little bit of water here that's underneath this part of the film. I'm having a hard time getting out. I'm actually going to spray just a bit in there. Try to get that edge up. There it is, just a little bit. See if I can work that out. And out, and up the top. There it goes. There it goes. All right. Got some more little bubbles down here. Get those out. All right. Let's come back to the front here along this edge. Get all this out, and you'll see that as I push this, it wants to keep releasing. That means there's too much water in there still. So you got to kind of keep trying to squeegee that water out. And that's when it's going to adhere. Not always as easy as you would like it to be, particularly on compound curves like we talked about earlier. I'm going to actually, I think, pull up this bottom section again so I can come and work on this area up here. And as soon as you do that, always spray it down again. Work it as you go. See how I'm leaving the corner? I'm leaving this part hanging so that as I go, the water has an easy exit route. And it should help me get some of this water out of there and avoid the bubbling. I got this bubble in the same place. Just going to stick that there to hold it. I got this bubble line right here. There it goes. So I just used my fingers there and it came out. All right, I'll pull that up and work it down some more. Water towards the edge, water towards the edge. Get good adhesion. Well, see, started wiping here, but I didn't have enough of the water out from underneath it, and it started to move on me. You got to get the water out before you start wiping it around, or it will move. Trying to get this wrap now just right at the bottom. Getting that water out, getting the water out is the name of the game to making it stick. So I'm just going front to back now, trying to work that water out of that front edge seam. Get it out of there. Gravity is working against me in this case. It's trying to pull that water back underneath the film. Using some fingers, using a towel. Right? Nice thing about using the towel is if I can get it squeegeed out with the towel will absorb the water on the back and not let it flow back in. Right, this is where that natural split is. Not sticking in there. Give yourself a little bit more squirty. See if I can reactivate that adhesive a little bit. So again, compound curve. I got this angle, this angle, this angle, and this angle. 4 angles all coming together right here. Trying to get it to stick right where they all come together has proven to be a little bit difficult. Let me get that water out. Get it to stick. Alright, I think I'm going to cut the video here and work this out and come back to you with the solution. So I'll be right back. Alright, I got to the bottom of it. And essentially what the deal was the relief cut that's right here where I was talking about where these 4 panel sections come together. This relief cut wasn't quite long enough into this section. Tool that you want to have around when you're doing this kind of work is just a straight razor blade. I went in there, increased the length and the width of the cut just a tiny little bit, and all the pieces folded into place and are adhering well now. So if you need to, make relief cuts. If you start to get puckers in your creases where the pieces come together and once the plastic wants to bubble out, just go ahead and give it a little relief cut right there and you'll be in business. All right, here we are now back on the tank, trying to finish off the right side of the bike here, and the section that goes across the top of the tank, down by the seat, and up around in the knee area is all one piece. And I am right in the sun now, and I'm telling you, this stuff is drying out so fast. So I am going to keep spraying it to try to keep it wet and lubricated so it doesn't stick in place and causes problems later. All right, so we'll just kind of loosely have it there. I'm not real worried about being at exactly the right place. I'm going to come back underneath here, wet her all down again. We'll lay it right back on and start figuring out those body lines like we've been talking about all day so far. So I'm going to work this, try to see where all the curves line up, where all the body lines are. A little bit too far forward here on this piece, loosen that up, bring it back down right. And one of the primary areas that we want to make sure we protect here is the area down near the seat where our legs and our pants are going to touch. So I think I'm going to use that as my reference point on this section. And when I do that, I think I'm going to get a little bit of bottom wrap, but we'll see. I'm not exactly sure here. All right, so I'm trying to follow that body line between the side section of the tank and the middle section. So I'm just going to come in here and start working out some of that solution. Remember, we're an 80-20 solution, 80% water, 20% isopropyl alcohol with just a few drops of, I use dishwashing detergent. The directions in the package recommended baby shampoo. But I think the idea is just to get something that's in there that's a little bit slippery so that you can slide the pieces around as you need to. Again, I'm drying out really fast here, so I'm going to come back in here, spray this all down, and try to work this piece into position. I think this is going to be a piece that I need to stretch a bit as we go here. It's not fitting exactly into this corner like I would like it to, so I'm just going to have to try to pull it and stretch it out. Get it in there. This whole tank is one giant compound curve, remembers. Right? Curves in a bunch of directions at the same time. Oh, drop the squeegee. I'll tell you. It is just so hot right in this direct sun. Keep pulling and trying to stretch this one into place. These big pieces are the toughest for sure. All right. Pull down a bit. Pull this back up. Pulling and a stretching, stretching and a pull, trying to get all the lines right where we want them. I think this curve is going to be a tough one here, so we'll see how it goes. Line along the tank is looking pretty good. Get some of these big bubbles out. Remember to stay lubricated. Come in here and make sure I'm getting some of that water out. Try to see if I can get this stuff to stick in the corner. This is where some folks will recommend getting out a heat gun or a hair dryer to try to make this a little bit more compliant. I don't feel like I need to do that with as much sun as I've got right now. I've almost got this all worked out. That little liquid out of there. this back down again. Never as easy as you want it to be. At least not usually. Get some more lubrication in here. As long as you keep this stuff wet, it stays workable almost indefinitely. And I'm going to pull this all off again. I'm not real happy with what I'm getting here. So I'm going to get this, and I'm going to come back to the video after I get this peeled off and start over. All right, I got that top side resolved. I had to reposition it and start over. You got to start up in this corner and get this corner set up just right and work out from there towards both ends, otherwise it just didn't want to sit right. So I've got the bottom applied, this bottom section, and I'm just working out the big air bubbles. You got this big concave section in here which is going to want to hold bubbles on you. So just work it, and get those bubbles out as best you can. All right. It's a really big, complicated piece, but if you take your time, you should be able to do all right. Working from the middle out. Reapply that spray, keep it lubricated. Tell you, it's dark color with the sun is just amazing. I bet you it's maybe 30 seconds the spray is lasting on there before it dries out on it. I'm just going to apply, do a little bit of a tug in here. All right, there's a cut that runs up this entire seam, and getting that just right is what I'm working on now. If it doesn't sit right, you're going to end up with a big old crease. There we go, we're getting there now. If you end up with a big bubble somewhere and it seems too dry to push out, don't force it. You will end up leaving a big scuff or even a fold in the film. If you saw that, as you get these bubbles to the edge, sometimes they'll pop and spray, which is fine, no big deal there. Also got a little bit of a soap bubble underneath the film right there. And try to work that out. If it doesn't come out, it's not that big of a deal. Little bubbles, 1/4 inch or so in size, will work themselves out as the material dries. I may try to just peel this back a little bit, see if I can to work this bubble out here. If you dry a bubble, if you squeegee out all the liquid, it kind of seals that bubble in. There we go. Now I got it. Right? And it may get stuck. Like I said, if it's really small, not a big deal. But if it's too big, that might be a problem. So there we go. Got that bubble out. So again, working towards the middle, out towards the edge where the seams are. Come back in here with my rag, see how it looks. Looking pretty good. I think we're going to call that good. Move on to the next section. All right, here we go. We're going to complete the right side now. You're doing the lower belly pan on the right side. And you'll notice I had to take off the fog lamp and the fog lamp wing in order to get this. And I'm going to end up laying this on here and then using my razor blade to cut a hole to get the cabling and the mount through. So we'll kind of try to lay this out and see how it looks here. See if we can get it lined up just right. This is one of those that's not exactly the easiest to manipulate. It's a bigger piece. And I think we're going this way. There we go, right in here. I think is how this is going to lay out. And there are a couple pretty big body lines near the bottom of this section. So we're probably going to have to work top down to make this viable. See how this looks. Again, it's starting out by getting those body lines kind of lined up. There are some relief cuts in this to help you. The first one's right there. All right. And I'm going to pull this forward just a bit. Right in there. Okay. And I need to get my razor blade. Get this in here. I'll just start out by cutting right over the top of that post. Put an X in it. Get that post to go through. Okay. Then I'll extend it out the front so that I can get the wire through. All right. And we'll try to get this bad boy laid out. They said this film is already drying on me. I come back and spray it again, spray the bodywork again. You can't really have too much solution to get this stuff done. All right, let's start laying this in and see how she goes. Top line's in first. A lot of little curves up in here. Right, so pull it back off if you have to get all the little lines nice and tight. Get those air bubbles out. Not always the easiest part. Work it down. Work some of that up towards the top. I'm going to extend this cut on the other side just a bit. Give me a little bit of wiggle room. It's going to all be underneath the light anyway. Nobody's going to see it. You're going to be able to shift that as you need to. Try to get it all in good up to that point. Good so far. All right, pretty good up above there. A little water out of that curve. Come in with the rag, try to get some of that extra water out of the top. And we can start trying to get it good below. Try to follow this back body line. This is our alignment mark, if we can. So the first time I had this done on my VTX, I think I paid $170 for the tank, the front fender, and the rear fender only. And I think it took them probably an hour and a half or so to do. The second time I had it done by a professional, I essentially was redoing the rear fender on my VTX, so just one piece. The other two pieces were okay. And I want to say he charged me 75 or 80 bucks at that point. And that was about 45 minutes. So that'll give you a general idea of what you'll get charged if you take your bike into a shop to have this done. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't have the time or you don't feel like you can handle it, then go ahead and do that. But really, it's just a measure of patience more than anything to get this done on here and get all the bubbles out. You notice near the bottom here, I'm kind of leaving this back edge flying so I can use that as an area to squeegee out this water. And you got to get the area down above the body line here before the bottom, otherwise the water's not going to have anywhere to go. And we're looking pretty good there, so I'll keep going. Right, don't have to feel like you have to get all the liquid out in one pass. Take your time, first time particularly. Do a light pass with the squeeze. All you're trying to do is get most of the water out in the first pass. Then on the second pass you can come through and work it a little bit harder or try to get all the last little bits of water and air out. It's looking pretty good there. I've got a little bit of a wrap over here, and I'll have a little bit of a wrap on the front to do. But you've seen how I've done that before, so I'm not going to put that into the video. I think the only piece left after this is we'll do the headlight, and then I need to do the other side, but I'm not going to duplicate all this for you, so we'll come back and we'll do the headlight, and then we'll call it a day. So here we are working on the headlight, and it appears for this section of the video I forgot to turn the microphone back on the camera. So I am here at the editing desk, and I'll do a little bit of voiceover as we go. The headlight was actually pretty straightforward, so I'm going to use this time to describe a little bit about what's going on, but I'm also going to talk about a couple other things that I didn't mention in the other sections of the video. So you can see here I sprayed down the headlight and the film, and I didn't get quite enough water solution on the film, and it's sticking to each other. I'm going to get that laid out, and you'll see here in just a second that a little lip on the top edge kind of stuck to itself. I talked before about getting complete coverage with that solution, and I didn't. I had two dry spots of the adhesive stick with just maybe a quarter inch or so fold over, and it was kind of a bear to get them unstuck from each other. If that adhesive is dry and they touch each other, it can be a real bear. You might actually ruin a piece. So watch yourself. I actually get out the razor blade here to try to pick that apart a little bit, and I do get it. I was lucky, but really watch that as you go. So other than that, this is pretty uneventful. You kind of work it out, center to the edges, just like you did with the other pieces. On my last GTL, I did use the hard plastic shield from Aeroflow as a headlight guard. I may go back to that. I'm just not sure that how comfortable I feel with this film product being enough protection from a rock hit. If you've priced those headlights, they are over $1,000 to replace, and so this is really a critical piece of protection. So I'll probably try this for a little while. Let's see how I feel about it. But while you watch this, I just wanted to mention a couple other things. I mentioned in some sections prior to this that you really don't want to be applying this product in direct sunlight. I did it just to get good lighting in my video. I didn't have an external pole light or anything like that, so I was just using the sun. But it really shortens your work time with the product. That water solution evaporates. The reason you put the alcohol into that solution is to aid in evaporation. So you warm up that isopropyl alcohol, and it just sucks the water out of the products, and you have to apply over and over and over. So if you can, do it in the shade. I think it'll make your life a little bit easier as you go through the project. Second thing, it is removable. So as I said, I put this headlight cover on here. You can see me pushing the water out from the center towards the edges. But if I did want to go to the Aeroflow product, I could just take a little razor blade, pop up a corner, and this will pull off. You might, to ease its removal, you might want to hit it with a hairdryer to warm it up a little bit. But it is removable, and after you remove it, hit it with some glass cleaner, and all that residue will come right off, and you can do whatever you need to do. Reapply it later after years, or just repaint, whatever you need to do. But it is removable. Another thing I wanted to mention was where I got this product. I said I bought it off of eBay for $180, which is true. You'll see that here. I'm going to throw that up on the screen. The source for the product, though, is something that I wanted to talk about, and the vendor on eBay actually sells this product in a number of different materials. So I am using the Pro product, the 3M Scotchguard Pro series, but they also offer it in the Venture Shield Ultra Complete Clear and the original SunTech Self-Healing Clear Bra film. So you can get the same kit in a number of different materials depending on what you want to use. But the vendor himself is SERVOPPF, Servo PPF. That's their seller name on eBay. Just go do a search for that, or if you do a search on K1600 GTL Clear Bra, you'll also find their products available. 180 bucks was the most expensive kit. I think they started about 150 bucks if you choose a different material. So those are available there as well. And the final thing I want to talk about is after you get this all complete, and we're coming here to the end of the video, I finish up, I think I say about 9 o'clock at night, so the sun was already down, let it sit overnight. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take it out and park it in the sun all day. Let that sun get in there and dry out any little pockets of solution that are left trapped underneath the film. So keep those things in mind. We're finishing up the headlight here. You can see I'm just wiping up the solution from the edges using the microfiber cloth, and it looks like we're in really good shape here. So we'll go on to the completed product, do a bike walk around next. All right, here we go. We're finally finished. I did the one side while you were watching, and I just completed the other side. This is the side that you didn't see me working on. This is lower fairing area and the upper fairings. We're under garage lights here, so it's not the best to see. It'd be better if I could pull it out into the sun, but it's like 9 o'clock, so the tank area, right? This side went on much easier, as did most of the pieces on the second side. Kind of once you figure out the tricks of where all those compound curves are, it tends to go a little bit easier. And the panniers came out really well, really good as well. Those actually are probably the easiest part. They're pretty straightforward 3 pieces to get it going. What they don't do is they don't give you any pieces for the top of the luggage top case. That would be nice if they gave you a couple pieces, one for the top and maybe a wraparound. But it's looking really nice. We'll let this sit overnight, come back tomorrow and hit it with the plexus, which is really all I use over the top of the clear bra material. Post any questions below and make sure you subscribe. Have a good one.
Down the street.